I heard the ding dong. I heard that ding. Oh. Oh, there we are. We back. All right. And that is why I will never try to mount a giraffe ever again. That's all. There it was.
They missed all the talk at the beginning. That was gold.
There was so much gold talk. Yeah, we were just.
We didn't do that. We did. See, we've been off for 1 week.
Yeah.
And we didn't do the standard audio check that we do during the title slide.
Yeah. It was a long week. It was a long week. It really was sad to go into our YouTube analytics and see that like the drop off, because I feel like we had a lot of momentum.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, can we just put something? But nothing's better than live. This is, like you've said, this is the mothership. This is why we do it. Right, for this experience.
Anyway, like I was saying while we were muted.
Yes.
We were off for a week because trees suddenly started exploding because they got too cold.
Yes. And we never thought trees would attack, but here we are. Because you did a better impression than I did. I think you should do it again.
It's just, what did he say?
You did the
I forgot. Yeah.
Doesn't anybody care about the trees?
Doesn't anybody care about the trees?
There's trees like came out of ground like a horror movie. And I was noticing like right outside the studio here, which you did miss this part where Mario does live over the studio. That is a true story.
That's a shoot.
Kevin Smith lives over his own movie theater. Mario Pena lives over his own studio. It's facts. But anyway, there's a huge tree out here, and I thought for sure that when I came here, I was like, that thing's going to be down. But it wasn't. Like, the trees around this little section, power sucked, but trees were okay.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell, like, people were reporting all the flashes, and you got a lot of UFO sightings, and it was exploding transformers. JJ, I don't know, he's up near me, so I think he might have did okay. But Anthony, just so you know, yeah, there was a gnarly ice storm last week in Austin, and pretty much went dark. It wasn't just us. But there's a lot of stuff we missed last week that we wanted to talk about, and we're going to still talk about it. We're going to have the industry on here. Mike later is going to go over it. But we have James Gunn. Obviously, that whole DC drop happened before we went to live again. So we're going to, obviously, there's a lot of stuff you already heard, but we are going to be talking about the DC Comics portion of that. Then we have some of the best professional wrestling content brought to you by World Wrestling Entertainment. And I'm not exaggerating, and I'm going to tell you why this WrestleMania potentially can be easily in the top 5 main events of all time. That's a deep take for WWE, but I'm sticking to it.
You just built that. Are you going to save that?
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm building it. I'm saving it. But you got to stay tuned in for that. We're going to talk about A Knock at the Cabin. We're going to talk about the requel, I Know What You Did Last Summer. We're going to talk about Skinamarink, the Backrooms, and if we got time, LeBron. Although I don't think Anthony's going to want to hear about LeBron, right? I know you're...
Oh, yeah. Well,
you're a Miami
over in
Heat
Miami.
guy.
That could be sensitive.
Yeah, so...
It's like folks in Seattle. You never talk about the Sonics when you're in Seattle.
No, but they're coming back.
Are they coming back?
Yeah, they're coming back.
That's going to make folks really happy.
Yeah, so that's going to be really good. But so how did you keep up with anything?
I didn't.
You did? Like one time that you did start texting me, you said you were outside like a Chipotle.
Yeah. So I lost everything completely for a while. Like internet failed, then power failed, and then mobile phone service failed.
Yeah, you were...
And like me and my neighbors were all outside doing the same thing, holding the phones in the air. It's like, do you have service? No. So it's just like, I was like, what is going on? So for a while, there was a moment of panic. Can you just imagine the scenario? We have absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
No power, no Wi-Fi, no phone, nothing is going on. And I was just kind of like just sitting here for a while. So yeah, and I think I was trying to text you in between. There's a few moments, but yeah, I don't know how we managed.
And there's this building alone attached to the studio. Don't we have another YouTube streamer?
Yeah, there's another YouTube.
Yeah, there's
streamer
another YouTube streamer connected to this studio in his own studio, focused completely on Minecraft. We will give you a plug. We just got to get the name of your channel, but you probably don't need our plug. But we're gonna still give you that plug.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a Minecrafter, so. YouTube had a feel right in South Austin. It's like something feels off. Like we're missing some streamers. How many people that are content creators here in Austin were struggling?
Not everybody.
Yeah.
Power. Some folks are still without power.
And we're coming up on a week because it was last Tuesday is when it started really creeping.
And I tell you, like, you don't realize how dark it is until it's like really dark, and there's no light, there's no street light, there's nothing coming from like buildings, the security lights or the lights that stay on at night. It's just complete darkness.
Yeah.
And it was like a video game level.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, right, when in The Last of Us they had that shot of the stars when you can actually see the stars because there's no light pollution.
Yeah.
But that we need that light pollution. Now, I pretty much, my house is never dark. There's always at least 5 LEDs of some kind on a plug or something. Never, like you said, I don't know what it's like to walk around complete unless I go in the liquid float tank. I don't even know what true darkness is.
Yeah. JJ, you don't even know. It was pitch black. Crazy. My neighbors all left. It was too terrifying.
Well, because they were only adjusted to the dark. They were not born of the dark like Bane.
Yeah.
So you went along the whole time, didn't you? You never broke. You never went to San Antonio. You never came north where we're at. You never hoteled. Nothing.
No, I was just kind of like, well, the power's going to come on at some point, so I'm just going to rough it. I saw a lot of movies. I saw Cabin in the Woods and saw Assault on Precinct 13. I was screening at the Alamo.
Yeah.
So I was just in and like I was at my office at my other job. But like, yeah, I was just kind of like rough. I figured it'd be on quick. I didn't realize it would last. It was out longer than it was during the last freeze.
Yeah,
the
during
mega
the
freeze.
snowpocalypse.
Yeah. But we didn't realize it was because like trees all over town were just collapsing. So it was all spread out.
You did the right thing. Just because Alamo Draft House is not that far from here, but they never lost power.
I guess not. No.
I know they did. I got an email that they canceled some screenings for sure.
Yeah.
But like, I think that was at the North Alamo. But let's talk about Assault on Precinct 13. I mean, it's a not really talked about John Carpenter classic, right? His first big one, really? Like his first name movie?
That's like his first real movie.
Yeah. And that was a 1970. We're not talking about the remake. We're talking about the 76 original.
No, the original, the 76 original. Yeah, they had it at the Alamo. I guess there's a 4K restoration. People love to buy 4K Blu-rays of movies from the 70s. That's a big business.
Yeah.
But yeah, they put out a new one. And, you know, I've told you 1,000 times, I love Alamo just for the sake of they really do a lot of care in their presentation.
They do.
The projectors are clean. The sound system's calibrated. And this, when the soundtrack kicks on Assault on Precinct 13, it was blaring.
You feel
loud. Yeah. Boom, ba, 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 boom.
Yeah, and that was a Carpenter score, right? Because he wrote, directed, scored, and edited this movie.
Yeah.
And it had Darwin Johnson.
I don't know who any of the actors
convicted murderer who helped.
It's got Apollo Creed's manager in it.
Oh, Tony Burton.
Tony Burton.
Yeah, Tony Burton. Throw it in the damn towel.
He's in it, and he has a big role.
That's right. Yeah, it stars as a police officer. Austin Stoker stars as a police officer who defends a defunct precinct against a relentless criminal gang, along with Darwin Johnson as a convicted murderer who helps him.
Let me just put things in perspective, because last week we were completely without power and completely cut off from everything. At least I was for a moment, right? In Assault on Precinct 13, it's like they're basically Precinct 13 is getting shut down. It's the last night it's in business, right? So the office manager has already told the phone company to cut off the phone. So it's like they're cutting off the phone at 6. And, you know, of course, danger kicks in at like 5:59.
Oh, yes.
And they just don't have a phone. And there's no phone. We can't call for help. And that's it.
What a budget.
No future options.
But it was great for a budget of $100,000. Is
that what it cost?
Yeah. $100K. And you just sold me on how much. I do remember watching it a lot on VHS. There's so many VHSs that I got rid of that. I wish I never did.
What's really fun about that movie is I think John Carpenter understands the power of his scores. Obviously, he's still out there playing them, but it's got that real beefy soundtrack. But it only plays when nothing is happening. It's not playing over like action sequences. Because when the first shootout happens at Precinct 13 on this one, I swear it's like 15 minutes long, and it's absolutely no score. It's at least as long as the fight in They Live. It's at least that long, and it's not like constant machine gun fire and explosions. It's just like one shot at a time, pa, 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 and just goes on forever. Single panes of glass breaking at once,
and that's powerful.
Yeah.
Remember, and this is around that same time with the Warriors, that they built this entire premise around one single pistol.
Yeah.
That was it. Like the Lizzies ended up having one, but it was like such a big deal. Like, ooh, I'm actually like crossing a line. And I think at that time they really used storytelling to create that suspense.
Yeah. I think what's really cool about it is how they did the way everything kicks off. Because I was revisiting the remake, I guess, whatever, the one with Ethan Hawke.
I did not see the remake.
You didn't see the remake? Mm-mm. The plot is really convoluted. He's an ex-con. What was that?
Oh, that was a fun noise.
Oh, that was the Zoom room. Sorry, I'll have to set that back up later. Anyway, man, I lost my train of thought.
You're talking about he was Ethan Hawke. He was an ex-con. I didn't even know Ethan Hawke was in it. Was it a Blumhouse?
Oh, he was the cop in that one.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, in this movie, everything pops off because one of the gang members shoots a little girl eating an ice cream cone.
Oof.
And that was why, because I mean it's brutal. You couldn't do that in a movie today.
No.
So basically, little girl eating an ice cream cone gets shot. Her dad chases after the gang to get revenge, ends up killing one of the gang, and then the gang goes after the dad, and it's the dad that they're protecting in the Precinct 13.
Oh, and the assault.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the precinct was closing down. They were just closing in.
It is closing down.
Oh, okay.
It's just all this stuff pops off. In the remake, it's like, oh, some con is there, and there's a gang coming to get them. They want to break out somebody specific. And it's this dad whose daughter got killed that they are protecting.
Okay. I did. What did you like the remake?
I didn't really like it that much.
That's what I was curious
Yeah,
about.
but I mean, it was too convoluted of a plot. This was very simple. Things just sort of happen and evolve into this bad situation, and then everything blows up, and then it's over.
Keeping it simple though, man. That's so like you. There's no need to get so. You don't need a whole rule. No, I mean there's room for it in some films, but you don't need a whole rule book for a film.
I think movies tend to over-explain things sometimes.
And that's why, dude, and you said you were going out to the movies. That was one of my favorite things about A Knock at the Cabin. And we'll use this as the pivot point. Because think about this. That movie, let's throw the spoilers up. It's M. Night Shyamalan.
If you haven't seen it. What a twist!
Yeah. Here's the twist, right? There's no twist.
Is there?
Yeah, and there could still be. You're absolutely right. So
is the twist that there is no twist?
It had the same vibe as Servant, which is on Apple Plus, which I recommend. It's a really good show. It has the same vibe, but she collects grasshoppers, right? That's how the movie starts, right? There's these two same sex couple, two dudes, and a little Asian baby that they adopted who's now a little girl. She's holy smokes, I can't talk. She is collecting grasshoppers. And then within 3 minutes, Dave Bautista comes walking through the woods. And it does not stop until the credits roll.
Yeah.
Is that an exaggeration?
No, it's not. I think that it's solid M. Night Shyamalan. Like, I think he's pretty hit or miss. He's the definition of hit or miss.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah.
And in this phase of his career where he's sort of like funding his own low budget films, I appreciate that. I think it was a good tier for him. I was pretty into it. I I mean, the idea of Dave Bautista is your second grade teacher.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine you Dave, and they've got him in that like collared to sort of like teacher shirt, short sleeve collared shirt that a teacher would wear.
No, and he did great.
Yeah.
Oh, Rainbow's in the house. What's up, Rainbow? How are you? Yes, I was actually going to bring this up because I commented on one of your shorts, and I feel like M. Night is in this. He's in like a different phase of his career, and I feel like he's had a little bit more hits than he has in misses.
Yeah.
But with an asterisk, right? Because he's the definition of hit or miss. Because I loved Glass, and I loved the whole universe they were creating with Unbreakable. I popped when at the end of Split, you realized it was the same universe, and he just didn't stick the landing. Glass was great, but that ending sucked.
He didn't have the budget he needed for that movie, I think. I think that movie needed a lot more money. He tried to do it on the cheap, but yeah, it was a little dissatisfying, I thought.
Yeah, and like Rainbow said too, I mean, he read the book, he enjoyed the book, got the rights, did it on the cheap, and he made money, and it's a hit.
Yeah.
And he even swerved from the original ending of the book, but he checked with the author before he did it.
Yeah.
And then the author was like, that was my second option of the ending, because we were just talking about 1970s when they weren't afraid to whack a kid to make their point. In the book, we already put the spoiler warning up, right? So the book has a completely different ending where when the kid actually accidentally gets killed, and they use that as a plot point, and it's a strong plot point, right? So if you haven't seen it yet, right, you have the 4 people show up to cabin, take this couple hostage, and they say, look, one of you has to make the ultimate sacrifice, or all of humanity is done and the apocalypse is coming. But we cannot do it. We cannot hurt you. We cannot aid you. All we can do is convince you. And then we find out the gimmick is, if they don't, they have to start taking each other out until there's none left. So when these 4 are gone, then there's no turning back. Then they only have minutes. So you're building the suspense like, wow, like these people are literally killing themselves to get their point across. Can we believe them? And in the book, when one of it's happening, the little girl takes a stray bullet and then she dies. And then they're like, no, we told you we can't kill you. And that bullet came from her. So you still have to make the ultimate sacrifice. And they left it a little more ambiguous. I thought that was brave of him to take a darker ending and go with something that was a little more clear, because I don't know about you, I like The Mist, and that ending made me hate The Mist just because they went with the original ending.
Yeah.
And that was really hard.
I mean, I just think Dave Bautista was so awesome in that movie, though.
Dude, when he was standing like next to his students as like a coach,
yeah,
dude, that was great.
Yeah, and just the whole what is it? It's 30 seconds into the movie he's introduced. You know what I mean?
What a great visual.
I was glad about the fact that they didn't do this in like a linear fashion where it's like the family's arriving, we meet them all, we get that whole setup. Oh, they're a cute couple with a kid, and they're so happy. Then they introduce the craziness. It just comes in 30 seconds into the movie.
Yeah, you got the craziness first.
Yeah,
and it was perfect booking him, because this happened before. Like, this happened when we saw The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. We were waiting for Nicolas Cage to fully Nicolas Cage, and he never Nicolas Caged.
Right.
We were waiting for Batista to Batista, and he never Batistaed.
Yeah.
He stayed as that second grade teacher.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And he's just such an imposing figure.
Him walking through the trees.
He looks like an Adult Swim cartoon. Right? With because he's like so fit, and like skinny jeans and stuff like that, and just a huge short sleeve collared shirt with all the tattoos and stuff, and then he's got all the scars on his head.
Oh yeah,
those are all from Getting Color, and when
it had to have been right, because I don't remember when he lost all the hair to know. I do know, yeah, because remember he got in trouble from Vince. He got fined like $100K for getting color without permission. So he was definitely probably gigging himself. But yeah, the visual of them, like first him coming through the woods, and then all of them coming through the woods, but really like subtly. I'd like a subtle attack.
Right.
Like would it have been scary if they were chasing her to the door? Yeah, probably. It was a little more scary that they were just slow walking. Like, like they got this job and they don't want to do it.
Right, because he's doing his gimmick as a second grade teacher. He looks like Batista. He looks like an Adult Swim version of a serial killer. But no, he's a second grade teacher and he's talking like that.
Yeah.
All the stuff is like, I'm here to be your friend. We're going to be friends today. Let's ask each other questions.
He was using his teacher skills, and I just realized that that's what he was doing. But the whole time, you just thought he was trying to be a crafty criminal,
Right?
That is about to do something heinous. But no, he was using what he went to school for,
Right.
Trying to convince this little girl that I need to talk to your dads.
Yeah. So I don't watch Harry Potter. I'm not a Harry Potter stan, but like that was the kid from Harry Potter.
Yeah, that was Rupert Grint. Yeah, that was Ron Weasley.
Yeah.
He was. I'm kind of already used to him as like the shifty alcoholic in Servant, so he still kind of had that.
He was in Servant.
He's in Servant too, so he already has that vibe. But here he is like the, Ben Affleck's, drunk cousin that's about to get in a fight with you at the bar. He kind of already had that vibe.
Yeah.
And that was, for me, like if you were booking like how, all right, like, these guys are the four horsemen, but they got to whack each other until they're done. That was the smartest one to take out first, because he was adding so much tension that you were waiting for him to snap and do something. But then when they took him out first, they're like, I don't know where we're going now. Like all of a sudden I felt like I'm on a roller coaster and now the lights just went out.
Because he would, by the nature of a standard setup, he's the heel.
Yes.
And he'd be around, it's like, kill him now. Let's hurry up and kill him.
Exactly. That's what you were waiting for, right? We just saw that in Violent Night. You know, you had the one guy that is going to snap any second. And they took him out first and they kept the calm ones. I thought that was a great choice.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Were you taken back with the no twist?
I mean, is there no twist? It's sort of an Ollie McTwist kind of a thing going on. Because it's like, is it a twist? I think the twist is it a twist or it isn't?
that's the twist. I feel like you're Johnny on airplane. Eddie M, it's a twister. It's a twister.
The twist is that it may be a twist or maybe it's not.
Yeah. You're right, though, because, again, the O'Bannon character, he had the different name, Redman, right? That was Rupert Grint.
Yeah.
He may or may not have been the thug that, committed the crime against these two gay guys in a bar.
Yeah. Well, I think he was. They confirmed it, right?
Yeah, because
he got his ID.
They got his ID, but they never, like before that, they never showed his face.
Right.
But the twist was, why did that happen? Like, okay, so now you're this was meant to be, this was destiny. Was Redman bonking him in the head at that bar? Was that the coincidence, and the rest was destiny?
Let's see. I don't know. Like for me, the flashbacks were my least favorite part. I thought, because I think they were kind of they were short, and I don't think they added a whole lot of context. I think they were in there to make you doubt stuff, or maybe trying to give you a little backstory on the couple. But I mean, I feel like we didn't need that. I think time spent in the cabin, like I mean, it's like a breather. They always come after a tense moment. And maybe that's just a writing or a directing technique, but I don't think those added so much. That's my least favorite part.
Yeah, and I guess we were kind of used to it, right? Because that was his storytelling device in The Sixth Sense, right? Was the flashbacks, because that's all he could do. I didn't mind them because he was still setting up, but then it got me feeling like I was going to, feel this swerve.
What's up, B Rose?
B Rose, what's up?
rainbowFRIGHT says, I was on the fence the whole time about whether or not there was an actual apocalypse, which has made it so much damn fun. Yeah, I like that.
Which in the book it was, and B Rose, just FYI, Geek Commander, we're talking about A Knock at the Cabin. I'm sure you probably caught up on that, so we threw the spoilers warnings up. But I know B Rose, he doesn't always dig on like some of the horror stuff, but sometimes he does. But anyway,
they went out of their way to make it seem like it could be either way, because even the timing on when they do the ritual and then they turn on the TV and disasters are just happening immediately. The timing was kind of shifty, so you could always doubt it.
Because I like the whole gimmick of just like looking at your watch, because then they were able to use that. Like, no, see, he timed it. He's looking at his watch, and making you doubt that. Because
let's look at this logically. If 700 planes fell out of the sky, how long would it be before it's on the news? B Rose, I bet you can figure this out.
We're talking about instant.
Yeah, like how long?
Yeah,
Because it's instantly on TV, so
Yeah,
some of the timing is kind of weird.
with the footage of it, and again, he was going by the book because the book never commits.
Yeah.
If they drive off and you just maybe it was and maybe this one they committed a little bit more that there was like an apocalypse for sure.
Yeah.
But the choices of the horsemen's punishments for humanity were a little rough, but they were very realistic rough, right? I thought so anyway, right? Because they were legit to me, like 3 dangers that we all kind of feel on a daily basis. I feel
What
like
was it? It was a plague, and then it was
the
tidal wave.
Yep, the hurricane. Oh no, the tsunami, earthquake turned into a tsunami, and then the planes falling out of the sky was rough, and then obviously the name of the virus that or whatever that they had that turned into a plague. Which again, he went full 70s horror on you. He's like, this plague is targeting children. I was like, what? Why? It's like, it definitely added to it. It's like, it sucks, but like, shouldn't you just say it's like affecting everybody? But they went out of their way. We were just talking about that.
It makes it more biblical.
Yeah, I guess it does.
The firstborn children all get the virus.
I am glad that they didn't do anything like frogs from the sky kind of stuff. I'm glad they kind of really steered away from that. We know religion is really easy to use as like a tool in a horror movie for sure. But I feel like doing this, to me, it felt like it even made it more scary because again, it was real stuff that would be something that you feel like you turn on the news and really see.
Yeah, you can't do frogs from the sky. You can't top Magnolia on that one.
Yeah, that's right. Frogs and locust. I see that people were clowning him a little bit for his standard cameo.
Yeah, I was fine with it. He cast himself as a fried chicken guy. At least he's not the I was afraid he was going to be in there as the savior of humanity again.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because that's what I say. He didn't, or in a wrestling, that's the whole thing with a booker. Don't book yourself as champion. He didn't go that route this time. He was very much just went with the air fryer.
Air fryer chicken. That's an appropriate cameo for the director.
Yeah, I thought that was fine.
Yeah, be the guy in the fried chicken ad. Don't be the savior of humanity in the movie.
Yeah, so I was fine with that.
I love how in that
M. Night will save us all, though.
Hijacking the podcast. He's like completely unrelated to the plot of that one movie, but somehow he's the savior of humanity. Anyway.
Oh,
Lady in the Water.
Lady in the Water, yeah. I know Mike, he's going to be on a little bit. He was a fan of that. I didn't get down with that one at all. That had the guy with the one big arm, right?
Yeah, the one big arm. He was a scientist.
Yeah, I don't know that. I like traditional M. Night. Again, I was a fan of The Visit. I liked Old. I know we were talking Rainbow. She was a little bummed out on Old. It didn't live up to the hype. What did you think on Old?
I didn't watch Old.
I know you like your content curated by a cable provider. Yeah. But Old is on there.
Yeah.
Old is rolling on one of those channels.
Well,
sure.
I don't have, on Sling, I have Stars and Showtime and all the other sub things of that with different flavors, like, whatever. Stars Soul or whatever, Stars Spanish. But yeah, I just like things to just sort of roll in and they can tell me what to watch. I don't have to choose. So I don't have HBO on that kind of a format where it just plays stream of movies for me. So I miss stuff on HBO.
What's on there now? I think Elvis is on there now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that I haven't seen. Oh, and the Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah.
Is in the industry on Zoom?
The meeting's closed. Is he texting you?
Oh, no, he hasn't texted yet.
Yeah, no, that was what that ding was earlier, that meeting.
Okay,
ended.
I don't know if we want to, I don't want to start talking about the next thing without him because I know we had a good spot with him last time on I Know What You Did Last Summer, and we're going to get into I Know What You Did in the 90s, or we renamed it Everyone Will Know What You Did Last Summer. But before we start talking about that, let's get him on there. So I don't know if you want to take a quick break and fire that back up.
Yeah.
Or I can pitch you on one more thing.
Yeah, pitch me. I've got it fired up. It's
Okay.
open. I can see it right here.
I'm going to pitch you on one more thing, and I had no idea.
I'll see him when he pops on. I got the thing up.
Yeah, Brian read my mind.
What happened? Because it was the investor meeting today.
Yeah, apparently that.
Don't you own some Disney stock? You didn't. You didn't.
No,
listen to
I
the
don't
call?
own. I own WWE stock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I'm going after Vince. But no, B-Rose, actually, we just saw that because we were talking about there's going to be a Toy Story 5. There's going to be Frozen 3. And there was, but they also announced
Toy Story 5.
Toy Story 5.
And it'll be funny because Tim Allen will have like no lines. They're just going to do the Buzz Lightyear that speaks Spanish for a while from one of the movies instead. Did you see Toy Story 4? He literally has three lines in the movie.
I did watch all the Toy Stories. I still want that. I want that Pixar horror movie.
Bring in Chris
Evans. There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Oh, Andrew said he's going to be signing on soon. Okay, cool.
Okay. Yeah, I got. I'll see him when he pops on.
So, have you managed to pirate yourself a Netflix password yet?
I have not.
And they're cracking down. There's literally like they're raining fire on people, and you're trying to find a way to skirt that.
Yeah,
because that's supposed to be dropping any day, that password sharing. But have you watched Physical 100 on Netflix? Have you heard of it?
Physical 100.
Physical 100.
Is that the Squid Game show?
Yeah, it's not the actual one that's actually in a lot of trouble for like human right violations right now. No, this is a different one. This is, I believe it's Korean, but it's 100 physically fit people that go into a Squid Game like show, and they have to basically do like these American Gladiator type battles to see what type of physique is the best physique. And this was my Ice Storm show that I watched.
You watch all of them?
I watched all of them. And I'm not even really big onto the game show. I was just looking for something like The Floor is Lava, and I got it. I just wanted something just like that.
Netflix is pretty good at everything that is not movies. Yeah. Like every time I throw on a game show, on Netflix, I pretty much stick to it. Like I watched that one where it was like they're just in a hotel and they only talk via social media to each other.
What?
They're all isolated in their rooms and they all talk to each other via social media only. And they have to figure out who's real or who's not. Anyway, it was pretty good.
Nice. That's what, again, is why are they so good at everything except movies?
Everything but movies. They're great at everything. But documentaries, awesome, except they kind of make them long. Like you don't need 6 episodes of whatever. It could just be one documentary film.
I don't know if we want to bring the chat into this, or we can figure out what would you even consider the #1 movie on Netflix ever? Because it's young enough where we can do that. Netflix original #1 movie.
I think the best movie they've made is Glass Onion, honestly.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
I think that's the best
damn
movie.
You blew my whole spot. I was like, they haven't done anything worth the damn. Glass Onion. Well,
but I mean, they just did
great.
it. They just did it like a month ago. So they've been around for 20 years. Oh, I see Mike the Industry has joined.
He's in there. All right, cool. Let's bring in Mike B.
Wait, let's take a quick break and make sure we can.
All right, yeah, BRB, and we'll talk about I Know What You Did Last Summer in the 90s soon.
I bet you think my favorite bubbly is champagne. Well, surprise. What I really love is Sun Country Wine Cooler. It's a truly marvelous blend of real fruit juice and premium wine. As a matter of fact, it's the best tasting cooler I've ever had. So when they asked me to talk about Sun Country, naturally I accepted. Sun Country, say gimme the real juice cooler. They told me I'd be working in fur, but this is ridiculous.
Wang announces the most important step in managing information since the computer, WangNet. WangNet is the electronic connection that gives anyone in your office any kind of information they need instantly by linking together every conceivable kind of office equipment, no matter who makes it. WangNet links you to floors below or satellites above, using just half its capacity, leaving room, of course, for Wang's next breakthrough in office automation.
I am here to make a pitch for Sun Country Peach. Why me? Because I'm crazy about the taste of peach. And Sun Country Wine Cooler is the most refreshing blend of premium wine and real peach juice I ever pitch. It has such a great taste. It's how you say it? Peachy, peachy. Sun Country. Say, give me the real juice cooler. You know, I don't mind doing cuchi in a bear suit, but it's so itchy. Caramba, me está matando tantas hormigas dentro de los pantalones.
Let's buy our small computer from the giant computer company. You can't beat Goliath.
No. Right, David?
Sir, let's go with Wang. Nobody makes a better small computer or word processor. They're giant killers.
It happened before. It can happen again, because nobody's hungrier than Wang.
He's right.
I used to be frightened by all the wine coolers I saw. I was scared I wouldn't pick the right one. Luckily, I did. It was the most refreshing one of them all, Sun Country Wine Cooler. You see, Sun Country is a blend of premium white wine and real fruit juice. That's what gives it its great taste. Sun Country say, give me the real juice cooler. If you don't say Sun Country, you'd better sleep with your lights on.
All over the world,
March 10th.
March 10th. Oh, you ready? Thank you for finishing my
Yeah.
thought.
All right.
Industry in the house. What's up, Mike B? How's it going, man?
Yo, guys, how's it going?
Good, good. Dude, so we...
First time of the new year. It's good to be back.
Yes. Yeah, you did not miss much except a lot of ice, and that's saying a lot talking to somebody in the Pacific Northwest to complain about the cold. Well, here we are in Austin, Texas, talking about the cold.
That's right. We had a hailstorm yesterday that resulted in rivers of hail going down the parking lot in the at the grocery store.
Oh,
it's always quite the event when we get those flash hailstorms up here.
Did any trees explode?
No exploding trees.
We had
not
exploding
this one.
trees in Austin.
Our trees fall over in windstorms primarily.
Yeah.
We fail to the wind.
Doesn't anybody care about the trees? Had to do it again.
Power company does once those storms come through.
Yeah. I was telling Mario that there's 3-hour lines just to drop off sticks.
Bring your own sticks.
Bring
We're
your
not
own
coming. We're not
sticks.
coming to get them. Bring the sticks here to us.
It's just a line of trucks with and the sticks are just kind of tarped down and like, drop your sticks here. We're going to turn them into mulch.
I tried to go to the mall earlier and like there's just sticks down and they have cones around it. So don't hit the sticks as you're driving into the mall.
It was very horror movie. Like you were talking about driving at night. So it was like, driving, like it felt like fingers were like scraping against your car.
Yeah.
And you can barely see them. And it was like, because of course you got to go driving around in it because they tell you not to. But I like that horror movie feel. I think there's a road, I believe it's like in the Bahamas, and it has like the name of like a horror movie because they're like, yeah, people are drunk and they just drive down this dark road, all these giant trees, and they just crash into them. Anyway, and I'm like, you just really just underplayed that people are driving headfirst into trees.
It's called Texas Chainsaw Massacre Avenue. Take a left here there.
Oh, man, yes. So we popped for horror. So, Mike, I had to get you on here because we had, it was last year we were talking about this, and I don't even remember how it came up, but we got on the topic of, I know what you did last summer, that you were actually there for that iconic scene. What are you waiting for? I'm right here. And then we just went down this rabbit hole, and then I think we manifested it's coming. I know what you did in the 90s. Or that's the title that we came up with. Or one of them.
I mean, it's coming, man. It's coming. And it's such an interesting, it's one of those premises that feels like it can be more than meets the eye in today's world. It feels like it has a bigger, technology and the way that things have progressed has a bigger impact on the narrative of, I know what you did last summer, or any kind of blackmail-based horror story than any other story that's being told right now.
I'm looking forward to the fish guy with the hooks. I think that was really cool. I think that was just a great, very classic sort of slasher setup. Dude with raincoats and like fishermen are, Jeff, are fishermen scary?
Yeah, they're terrifying. They're absolutely terrifying. Yeah, I mean,
they spend their day all day stepping on guts, right? just completely opening up
true.
things and spilling their guts.
Think about the tour through Quint's house on Jaws, and he had like 2 cans of beans, like a bunch of carcasses of fish, like you said, boiling guts, boiling teeth.
He's boiling shark teeth when they get there.
I mean, that's classic serial killer activity. So I would think that. So yeah, you're absolutely right. What was his actual name in that? Didn't he have was he just the Hookman? What was his name?
Fisherman?
Was it?
Yes.
But
the White Candy Man?
White Candy Man. That's gonna be my new DJ name.
But yeah, he had a very iconic look, and there was just something about that. That was the time that was riding the tails of the original Scream, ironically, and now this requel is going to be riding the requel tails of the new Scream. But to me, I feel like it delivered not as much as Scream, because Scream changed the genre, but it was a nice second at bat. Would you guys agree?
I mean, it was a good follow-up for sure.
Good follow-up, playing with the premise, taking that cool aesthetic from Scream and what it could bring to horror movies. It's a pity that they didn't get to do like a real trilogy. Like, I think this requel is going to be like part Scream franchise, part Halloween franchise, because they're retconning one of the 3 movies that they've made in this franchise and kind of resetting against the second one. Do either of you guys remember what the story of the second one is? Because I have a narrative in my head, but I'm not sure if I'm like conflating it with one of the Scooby-Doo movies or not.
I gotta be honest, I don't remember at all.
I just remember the title because they shoehorned in Still. And I was like, oh, okay, I still know what you did last summer. But no, I do not remember the premise.
Is I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and I apologize if this is just completely the wrong movie. But when I think of that movie, the narrative that I remember is that they go on a Caribbean vacation, and they are on an island, and there is a resort that is basically the entire island, and one of the people that they go on this trip with ends up being the son of the original Hookman. And so he starts doing all of the I Know What You Did Last Summer stuff all over the resort, killing people one by one. I feel like Tony Todd has a cameo as like a beach bum.
Confirmed. It is about a vacation in the Bahamas. A year after killing vengeful hit-and-run victim Ben Wills. That's the name, Ben Wills.
Oh, Ben Wills.
Who gutted her friends with an iron hook. College student Julie James is still shaken by the experience when her roommate Carla wins a vacation for 4 to the Bahamas. Yeah,
that's right.
I would have just
thought a radio show prize.
Yeah,
I would have thought you said. I thought that was Club Dread.
It does sound like Club Dread.
Sounds a little bit like Club Dread. No, I don't remember much.
I mean, it also sounds like the first Scooby-Doo movie.
Yeah. Well, the whole entire premise of I Know What You Did Last Summer, because of the look of the main antagonist, that is a total Scooby-Doo look to it. But like, and I mean that complimentary.
Yeah, you pull off the jacket and everything, and it's like Don Amici. And he's like, I was going to get your kids.
Was it Don Amici?
No, I'm just saying
that would have been perfect booking, though.
It would be a twist. It'd be somebody like that. Maybe not Don Amici. He's too old. But
dude, but if it was in the 70s, Don Amici would have totally been Hookman.
Somebody like that. I don't know who it would be now.
I can't wait. I just can't wait to see, a bunch of small children running around in oversized raincoats and rain hats with little plastic hooks this Halloween, because they're going to bring it back.
Dude, we're in the era right now where slashers are back. Everything's coming back. We're getting Friday the 13th. They'll probably take a stab at, Nightmare on Elm Street again. We're getting The Exorcist again. Horror is just back in a big way.
Horror is back in a big way because it's so good. I mean, it stands the test of time. Like, I'll give a plug to Rainbow. Like, she actually just dropped a video where she goes over the entire Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, and the stuff they were able to experiment with so much, and they had so many, like Mike says, in our head, we might confuse them, but we still know what the core is, and there's something about it, like the universal monsters of Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman. We're still drawn to it. And now, and Mike, you predicted this, props, the 90s were coming, and now they're coming hard. And I just felt like this was the perfect...
90s are coming hard.
Yeah, the 90s are coming hard. That's going to be our short. Let's see if that one gets shadow banned or not. If Sam Neill can get a shadow ban, let's see if the 90s are coming hard is going to get a shadow ban.
Yeah, just make truck flaps. I think that merch would do well up there.
That would be perfect. Truck flaps. Here's a good question, though, and this comes from Geek Commander. And, well, it's actually a request. He just needs them to let Buffy join back in. Sarah Michelle Gellar. Obviously, she didn't survive the first one. And, Mike, you were talking about a little bit of a retcon. You think there's a retcon that's going to get Sarah Michelle back? We haven't seen her on screen since we just saw her on Clerks 3, right? She was in that for a few minutes.
Yeah, she had a cameo. Did she survive? Who survived?
No, she did not survive the first one.
Okay.
No, she got whacked.
So Sarah Michelle Gellar is like the connective tissue. She's the only one that died in both this franchise and the Scream franchise.
That's right. She did die in that one, too.
Yeah.
That's a film right there.
She stays getting killed.
I mean, you would think, and they can't do a flashback. Maybe they can do a kind of de-aging, right? If they can make Harrison Ford look that young, what can they do for Sarah Michelle Gellar? I would be okay with seeing her back. I don't mind the passing of the torch. Like, don't you think in a way that if they do it right, it means something? Like, if they do it wrong, Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi, you'll lose everybody forever. Like, think of the Star Wars Civil War that happened because of that. If you do it right, though, it's fine.
I mean, that leads me into my next thought here, which is like, okay, how would either one of you guys book this coming back? Because I feel like there's a real risk here that the narrative that they go for is too similar to the original narrative. They don't like introduce enough new information. How would you guys book this to make this a successful comeback?
Well, I think you nailed it. I think it has to be, they have to widen the scope. And we were just spitballing titles, and I did tag somebody on Twitter from like Bloody Disgusting, and I think they dug that, where widen the scope. In these days, internet blackmail is way bigger than this small wet note that says, I know what you did. Now you have the threat of everybody knows what you did last summer. Everybody's going to know what you did last summer. I'm going to put it on every kind of social. I'm going to make videos. I'm going to make vlogs. It's going to be everywhere. To me, if you're trying to get that teen audience, that to them is what's really going to relate as something that's truly terrifying, more so than just somebody's going to give you a hook because, they watch these documentaries for fun. So that's not going to be scary. But expose their secrets on the internet. Now you got my attention.
What do you think, Mario?
I'm not sure, because I am on the fence on this idea. I think people, horror is big right now, but people don't, what's getting over is stuff that's reinventing it and trying to do it different. And like, honestly, I Know What You Did Last Summer is such a straightforward slasher movie. You know what I mean? It's a guy in a suit with a specific weapon taking out a group of kids, right? So how do you make that different? It was so non-specific. Scream, I think, had that whole gimmick of it was about movies and talking about horror movies and dissecting them. So I don't know. To me, I feel like we're at a point right now where we're in the era now of slashers back, and we have mega slashers. I feel like I would want to push it really hard in the gore and just like kill factor, and like do something really interesting with the kills, make those memorable, get Tom Savini to consult, and do something like that where people are talking about that moment where it's just like, remember that the part in, what is it called? I Know What You Did in the 90s, where so-and-so gets killed this way, I think because if you just do it,
so like get more of that horror street cred with this version.
Make it for the folks that that like Terrifier. You know what I mean? Make for everybody who got into Terrifier 2 and give them something to jump onto. Because I mean, that movie, did so well, and it's the mega slasher. Lean into the mega slasher and see what you can do. But yeah, I don't know. That'd be my take.
I guess the thing that I struggle with the most is like so much time has passed, and when Jeff and I were talking about this before, it's like we don't even know like what was even really the threat. Who was Hookman going to go tell that these kids murdered him? Like, who is he going to go to? Is he going to go to the cops? Because he doesn't seem like a big kind of cops guy to me. So it's tricky to translate that type of threat. But I think what you have to do is kind of boil it down to the psychology of why that was scary at the time, right? In the 90s, in the early aughts, I Know What You Did Last Summer, it kind of fed in more to like gossip culture of small communities and how if there is one thing that's kind of being whispered about you in the corners of the cafeteria, that's going to be whispered about you for the rest of your life. And these people had social clout in those communities. They were pageant winners and football jocks, and like so they had
Freddie Prinze
something
Jr.
to lose. Yeah, right. Like they had something to lose within that, like within that scale. It's like, yes, I think you do have to address some of the technology updates that have occurred since that movie came out. We have social media, we have computers in our pockets, we have all these things that have changed that make the threat of information and of being exposed a much more real threat on a wide scale. But I really struggle to see how you can connect any of that back to something that actually can carry a legacy horror narrative. And if like, sure, you get some of the main stars back, you can bring their kids in, but what are their kids going to happen to hit some random person on a road driving drunk that happens to be the son of the person that they hit 30 years ago? Like, how do you even tie that narrative together in a way that's going to like satiate people, right? Like, that's my biggest struggle.
I agree. I mean, that's why I'm kind of on the fence with the whole premise. It's just like, it doesn't seem that there's much to latch on to there except nostalgia. You know, the fact that it was a solid slasher in that era when slashers were big again in the 90s for a while. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you do with that. I just think the stuff that's out there that's coming through real original is really jumping out, where they're taking the slasher genre and doing something different with it. That stuff is way over. I think Scream, the last Scream, I think this next Scream is going to be the biggest Scream ever made. Like, it's going to be huge, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's just the right time and place. And they did something, I think now, with the way Jenna Ortega blew up, they do not need any of the legacy characters anymore.
No.
You know? Like, I think Neve Campbell was holding out for more money, and they're just like, no, we just won't pay you. That's okay. We'll just do it without you. You know? But like, so I don't know. I don't know what you do with this movie. How do you make it feel like something original?
Well, you guys remember, you know, obviously we were talking about this, where the nostalgia going back, and we're always going to be attracted to these characters. But how did you feel when you went and saw the straight up remake of Friday the 13th and the straight up remake with, you know, a great actor playing Freddy, you know, Jackie Earle? How did you feel about those remakes when you went and saw those in the theaters?
I hated them both.
You hated them both. Mike, same?
Yeah.
That's the danger here.
Terrible.
Right? That's the danger here, because they were relying on a nostalgia factor, except they had no classic actors to fall back on, other than like maybe if they could have snuck in a Johnny Depp or Kevin Bacon cameo, but they weren't part of like Jennifer Love was, you know, of this franchise. So
yeah,
I think they have to do a handoff, and they have to do it as fast as possible. I think Scream got lucky, because now they did establish all these new characters that are enough. Because obviously Jenna Ortega wasn't even the focus of the character that they were passing the torch to, right? It was Billy Loomis's daughter, and that's her sister.
Yeah, they're the sisters now.
They're the sisters.
The Carpenter sisters,
right? So man, that was a lot of lightning to strike to get that right. If it's going to work, they have to get it as fast as possible. But
well, I think there's a couple things for that. Like for the Friday the 13th remakes, I think those were still coming out in a time when if you were going to make a movie like this that's a mega horror movie, you were getting like the budget and the investment that kind of movie would require. I think the real risk here is that it's more like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, and that they stuff in a bunch of technology updates and none of it kind of feels cohesively together. And then you just kind of like throw a horror villain into the mix in that landscape. Like that feels like the real low risk, like where they could land and where they're likely to land.
Yeah, and
they're getting texts from the killer this time instead of notes. instead of
being written on the mirror.
Notes written in steam on the bathroom mirror. It's a text or an email. It's just an email that says, "I know what you did last."
No, it's like they don't see it until they're reviewing their Instagram photos from the day before, and someone's like, "What's that?" And they point at the mirror, and it's like, "I know what you did last hour. I know what your parents did," because that's the way the narrative could go. Is like, okay, so let's say that they're taking the Scream follow up as like a completely, they're taking it to heart. Then you kill Jennifer Love Hewitt and you kill Freddie Prinze Jr. in the opening scenes. And then the rest of the movie is about Hookman coming after their kids with no real like reason. They don't even know what their parents did. So they're trying to figure out and unscramble the past. Like that's the only way that I think this works. If those people are in this movie the entire time, it cannot make sense.
If you can tag the producers of this movie in this, Jeff, please, because this is one thing I want. They're definitely do this because the Scream requel got over. But this is my take. The whole, there's a 50-50 chance that the last Scream totally sucked because there's the whole premise of the de-aged Billy Loomis.
Yeah.
That's 50. That could have gone sideways completely. That could have been the worst thing ever. And it kind of worked. So I don't know that you can do that again. If they're banking on something like that, to pull something out of the, is it going to be a Ryan Phillippe survived actually, and he'll come out somehow? I mean, I don't know. So I think Scream sort of lucked out. It's going to be tougher for this one to find some runway there to land this one.
Yeah.
Scream had the radio silence team, and one of the things that the radio silence team has done better than anything else in their entire career is cast their shit. Right? Like you think about Ready or Not, you think about how amazing that cast is, and now they're pulling some of the people from that world into the Scream world. They really do a great job nailing the casting of a movie in a way that these people are on a good trajectory. A lot of the young stars are going to go places after they're doing this stuff. Jenna Ortega just happened to hit, but I mean, she's of the pedigree of the industry that tends to find its way to success, whether it's Wednesday or Elvis or like whatever the Nickelodeon and Disney kids end up doing that run the entire industry these days.
Very true. I was looking up while you guys were talking too. I can't confirm or deny if this is blessed or AKA EP'd by Kevin Williamson.
I'm sure he gets a check, but I don't think
he's definitely going to get a check. But I feel like he kind of anointed the radio silence guys, right? When we went to the premiere, stuck around for the Q&A, and he not only did he say these characters are passing the torch to these new characters, he was passing the torch to radio silence, saying, "I put all my faith in these guys." At a time now where Sick just dropped on Peacock with not much fanfare, and it was great.
Was that the Scream Q&A you went to?
Yeah.
Oh, they had okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it was one of the Fathoms, so they had the Q&A afterwards. But Kevin Williamson kind of shows that he still got it, right? If you were a wrestling fan, you'd start chanting, "You still got it." It was pretty, like, Mike, and I texted you right after I watched it. I mean, I'm not saying that this was like Terrifier where it changed the genre, but he proved he can put something solid out there and deliver with a current premise. So I feel like
nobody makes a scarier movie with teenagers inside a house and a killer somewhere near a house than Kevin Williamson, hands down.
Well, again, like slashers are back. So if slashers are back, they're going to the old slasher writers, bringing them back to the mainstream. Hey, what else you got? What have you got that you never made? Pull out some of those old Final Draft files.
This brings me to something. So I know, have you guys talked Skinamarink yet?
No, I have that next because that's coming up. Yeah,
okay.
But yeah, let's jump.
So
in
this is a reasonable segue because, you know, when I'm watching Skinamarink, what I feel like is if I'm a major studio, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna hire the dude from Skinamarink to make 2 more movies. The second movie would be, you know, similarly ethereal, but a little bit more narratively based and set in a high school. The third movie would be even more narratively based, a little less ethereal, and set in an office. And in the final third, you know, end credit stinger of the movie, you'd have Freddy Krueger kind of reach his hands out, and this would be an origin story for Freddy Krueger to bring Nightmare on Elm Street back. That's all I could really think about watching this.
Dude. Why are you not working at a studio entertaining the world with this shit? It's so good. Damn it. That's such a great idea.
I haven't seen it yet.
I mean, spend $45,000 on an origin story trilogy for Freddy Krueger. That's how you win because it's promoted on TikTok.
Yeah.
It does. It pretty much does feel like TikTok creepypasta type movie. I know Mario, you haven't said it, but Mike, I was like, I don't think we could spoil this if we wanted to. Like, there's nothing really to spoil, is there? It's an experience.
You got to feel it.
Yeah, it's a vibe more as much as it is a movie.
I'm bummed I didn't see it at the theater, but
I know that really bothered me. That it was just like, but I can tell you, it was like 1 a.m. I took your advice, I turned all the lights off. I watched with my Bose headset, so I didn't have anything like too loud, and I like immersed myself. And there's the ending scene is enough that like if you stare at the screen, other stuff that I don't know if necessarily is there. Mike, did you get that too? Staring at the screen, did it start like, look, now I see a sailboat. Wait, is there something moving? Did it start playing with your eyes?
Well, I think the whole movie is kind of like playing with expectations through the static that you're here. Like you get that kind of like brown noise, and you get that brown noise for your eyes. And I feel like the movie is so long because like in terms of like a creepypasta context, right? Like usually those types of things are super, super short, but this is kind of that world where you can sink into it. And the aesthetic that was used to make it is trying to kind of drive your mind to fill in the gaps all over the place. So I felt like even more so than just the end, I feel like my mind is just wandering throughout the entire thing. And I would like come back to the movie from something that it's like either something that is on the screen that I'm like, what is that? Or something that I hear that I'm doing that around, or one of those kind of bigger moments throughout. That's really kind of pulling me back to the external world from the like introspective internal world that this film kind of creates.
Dude, you're right. Like this was some Andy Kaufman level shit where you're right. You're just sitting there, and I saw the meme of just like of the guy poking the stick saying, do something. And he was poking Skinamarink because nothing's happening, but you're filling in the gaps because you're waiting for something. We were talking about this earlier with Batista walking through the woods and just being there and being the Adult Swim serial killer, as Mario put it. You're waiting for something to happen, and then the stuff is playing with your eyes, and then your mind starts, as you wish, I got to manifest something now.
Did you have a similar experience, Mario?
With I haven't seen Skinamarink.
He hasn't seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I just that's one. That's
I have my only note for you, Mario, is it felt too long. And Mike, I don't know if you agree. Like, did we need?
100%. I mean,
an hour and 40 minutes of that.
Definitely took a break and came back to it after a little bit. Personally,
yeah, I think like just what we were talking about before we went live, Jeff. I think indie films should start maybe experiment with film length. I don't think you need not every. There's a given that every movie has to be 2 hours or around 2 hours. I think you could just do a movie that's an hour and just get away with that. And I think it's still a feature. I mean, that's what a film festival considers a feature, right? A 60-minute movie.
Yeah.
So just take a movie like that and make it 60 minutes. Make it like a 1 hour experience.
Now more than ever. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting cinematic shows like The Last of Us and Stranger Things that have these runtimes. Like The Last of Us went from like an hour and 24-minute episodes and then like a 48-minute episode. Like they were jumping around. Like I would not feel slighted at all with a solid 60-minute theater that I pay the same price that I would for a 90-minute, 2-hour. I would pay the same price. So what do I care as long as you walk away with an experience? Because you're paying for an experience.
Yeah. Well, I mean, did you see what you heard about the 80 for Brady movie?
I mean, I know of it. I didn't know.
I am aware.
Okay, so the 80 for Brady movie they made a lot of money this weekend actually, but they ended up making less than they sold more seats than Night at the Cabin in the Woods. Actually, they actually sold more seats than Cabin in the Woods. But 80 for Brady had a coupon, so you could get like a discount. So everybody who saw that movie got a discount.
Oh, cool. So now I can make a short with the guy from Jurassic Park. We can have coupon night.
Well, I mean, 80 for Brady is like for whatever, older, I don't know what age group. It's older people.
It was the closest we ever got to a 9 to 5 reunion.
Exactly.
Why didn't they book Dolly Parton?
Yeah. But anyway, that movie was actually on a discount and it made less money than Cabin in the Woods, but even though it sold more tickets. So for the 1 hour movie, for the 1 hour version of Skinamarink, maybe that movie is, that's only $250 for a ticket or something like that.
Well, that gets a little bit into what Mike and you're probably going to say what I'm talking about with the whole AMC charging certain levels for certain seats. And now are we getting into charging certain levels for certain movies?
It's an option.
One of the things for Skinamarink is that it cost $15,000 Canadian to make.
Yeah. Canadian.
$15,000 Canadian. Right? Like that's, I don't know the last time that I heard him. I'm not sure. I just don't remember the last time I heard a movie that, I guess it just kind of gives you Blair Witch vibes or that, I guess, in the context of what the budget was against the actual box office return, because they didn't distribute it to many movie theaters, and it had a really short run before it went to streaming. But they ended up making about, I think, a little under $1 million on the theatrical run of this movie. And a big part of that, so the way Skinamarink kind of came into being, the filmmaker released a trailer on Reddit. A producer or distributor saw that trailer on Reddit and worked with the filmmaker to distribute the film. And when, between this, where it's kind of getting discovered and getting distribution, I guess it was in some Canadian film festivals, and people started talking about it on TikTok. When they were talking about it on TikTok, it wasn't out in a movie theater, it wasn't out in any streaming service, but they think that the buzz around TikTok videos of people saying, I just saw the scariest movie that I've ever seen. It's not for everybody. Not everybody's going to like it, but it was terrifying or whatever, right? It kind of makes me feel like there is a new emerging market where a movie that evokes something very extreme, an extreme response, can elicit short form reviews on TikTok, and a movie like Skinamarink can also generate short form content that is ethereal in nature. And once you see it, you've kind of gotten the short form vibe for what the entire movie is going to be. And I guess it's almost like we all have this concept in our heads of Idiocracy being where we're headed, and this is kind of like another version of that, where all of the art that ends up being created by independent low budget stuff starts to focus on these short form distribution methods for finding audiences, and then we end up with all independent stuff, or a big portion of it starts to get back to like not having any narrative and not having any characters and not having any stories and being just aesthetic in nature and nothing beyond that in depth.
Yeah, and JJ agrees. Yeah, he owes TikTok and YouTube a big favor, big ups on that too. But yeah, Mike, you're right. I was looking that up too. He shot the concept called Heck, and that's what he actually sold it. He sold it as like, this is the movie I'm going to do. And then he found some money and did it. So he actually shot that first before he actually shot Skinamarink. And before that, he was just uploading things that reminded him of his nightmares on YouTube. But yeah, and as of today, it's actually up to $2 million. So I don't know, some theaters left it in there, and this was
it
after.
ran here for a while.
It
It was playing at Alamo for a while because it was in that period where there was absolutely no movies coming out.
Yeah.
That's why a few of those movies got over, like Plane.
Oh yeah, the Avatar
did really
gap.
well. Yeah, the Avatar. It was just Avatar or nothing. So Skinamarink kind of like hung around for a while because Alamo, I swear, played it for 3 weeks. And also the AMC theater had it going for a long time. That's why I was bummed I didn't see it because I was just like, I was going to get to it eventually.
I feel like this would even be a better experience if you saw it in an old dumpy theater.
Yeah.
I think that would really.
Oh, no doubt, dude. Like, take me to the movie theater in The Last Action Hero to watch this fucking movie, man.
Yeah, I'm considering getting
alone, just like he watches The Last Action Hero movie. Fucking telephone rolls into the room. It's like, oh shit.
Dude, it's kind of a fun experience. I was considering getting a third movie theater membership to the Regal because it's I think it's only like $6 a month or something like that.
They're dropping.
But the Regals are so abandoned around here. Like you go to it, there's one person doing the whole thing, everything, getting your ticket. Then they walk over to the counter.
Yeah.
And then if you want to get a beer, they have to call their manager and they come with a key to unlock the beer tap. And then like, whatever. And then they do the whole thing. And then you're walking through those gaudy hallways with stars and lights and all stuff everywhere. And it's just all kind of starting to get run down. They've got those classic seats that are like super noisy. Like if you move an inch, it's just like, it's just like, and then the theater's empty. And then it's like, they don't even care. The movie starts, they leave the lights on. It cuts off like 30 minutes into the movie. I remember when I went, because I saw Dawn of the Dead in 3D at that Regal.
Yeah, that was a great experience seeing it there.
It was just like the first 20 minutes of the movie, I was just like, is it really low? I can barely hear it. I was like, should I go tell somebody? And I'm just like, I was the only person in the theater. I was like, I guess no one's going to do it. I should go tell. But around 20 minutes into the movie, it just got super loud all of a sudden.
Somebody realized
it. That it was going to, yeah.
Yeah, that Regal has that. And look, you're paying for an experience, right? And some of those Regals look like the old showgirl sitting at the end of the bar. That was 30 years ago when there used to be a show like the Star.
Like the thing is, there was a time when those theaters, like every movie theater would have their cycle where they would be cool, new, and then eventually they were a dollar theater. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And now we don't have the dollar theater tier anymore, which I really miss. I wish there was a dollar theater again. So now they just kind of they just fall into nothing. And it's like, you can't be a regular front row Joe movie theater anymore. You've got to be sort of a bar and have, chicken fingers available.
Yeah. Sticky.
What Jeff and I have always discussed along these lines is doing movie theaters like a karaoke bar, so that you have like one or two main theaters that are showing something that's maybe a little more interactive and for the group, and then you have a number of small rooms off the side that people can come in, they get access to all of the streaming services, so they don't have to pay $100 a month to watch all those streaming services. They can pay $6, bring the whole family in, get a room, rent it for, a couple hours, pay a little bit more, buy some food, buy some drinks, pay a little bit more, but they're just watching streaming services in like a private upscale experience. And you still have some of those like theater community based moments mixed in. That's always the model that clinks around in the back of my head.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I love that model. I think that would work really well because in the end, it's creepy when you're watching it by yourself, but it's even creepier when you're watching a movie like Skinamarink and there would be like 4 people strategically placed in different spots. Like I saw Barbarian in Brooklyn, and it was just literally like that. It was just like, I feel like that's that in itself, when you're parallel watching, is a community film experience, which I think is really important, especially now.
Make every movie the Rocky Horror Picture Show, basically.
Yes.
It's like anytime you're seeing a movie in the large group theater, you're going there to cause a ruckus, you're going there to make noise, celebrate the shit that you love about these things. You go watch Endgame out there, everyone's fucking screaming, Avengers assemble, right? Like, those kinds of theater experiences, I think, are what they need to angle towards, even if they don't go to as extreme a model as, like, my dream scenario. They just need to angle towards that experience. Keep it an experience. You can't do the seat paying thing is not something that feels great, especially in that situation where you're in the Regal Theater all by yourself and you paid $2 extra to sit in the middle of the theater. Like, why?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's not a good idea, what they're doing, but
that's a terrible idea.
Again, yeah, you're going for the experience. I go out of my way for a Marvel film to go to the first showing because I know it's going to be packed with the alpha watchers that want to watch it and they're going to be screaming and yelling. And then I'll also go out of my way to try to see a movie like Skinamarink when there's hardly anybody in there, just to get something different. Sometimes I'm in the mood for Alamo, sometimes in the mood for Cinemark. And
would you pay like super extra for a ticket to Skinamarink if it guaranteed you're the only person in the theater?
I think I would consider that. Yeah, I think I think I totally would, because like you just get to sit. It's one seat, and you buy the whole theater, and you're
one
just right
seat
in the
entire theater,
in the middle, and that's all you get.
Subsidize the whole theater cost for like how many seats they're selling. Against that, put it in off times. You know, there's ways
2
to do it.
a.m. It's like you get this one seat at 2 a.m. It's all yours.
Right.
We're not going to be there anyway. Just close the lights off when you're done.
Just lock up when you're done.
Sweep up on your way out too.
But I think leaning into creating these experiences at our theater important, because the content is, we're starting to feel that shift. And Mike, you're the one, and Mike and JJ actually brought this to our attention. Serendipitously, the Backrooms got greenlit right when Skinamarink is like a huge hit. And when I was watching some of the clips that you and JJ told us to watch, it's the same exact feeling. Like you feel like,
oh yeah,
you feel like it's a very limbo-like state in there. So I was like, wow. And they're actually hiring, like, isn't he like the original game developer? He's like 17. He's going to be directing it over his summer break. Like, content is changing, and that's the kind of stuff that you'd feel like that's already a huge success on YouTube. Why are you going to put it in theaters? You're going to have to find now the people who like it on YouTube something compelling enough to get that same experience out in theaters.
Well, I think the biggest difference between something like Skinamarink and something like the Backrooms is that the Backrooms, while it has a consistent aesthetic that you would expect, like, oh, a Backrooms movie, am I just going to be walking around yellow hallways endlessly, like running into one thing here or there for an hour and a half? I mean, that would be possible if the Backrooms was just aesthetic, but because it has its basis in so much functional lore, there's a real story to be told that's beyond what is explicitly laid out in the YouTube videos. And the YouTube videos can be treated more as a scattered record that a viewer can piece together to kind of extract those pieces of lore. But if you spend time with it, or I think I sent you a video from Film Theory that kind of dives into the lore of the Backrooms.
Oh, yes. Yep.
And one of the things that really stands out to me is that this lore is anchored in real life events. So there are things like earthquakes that are referenced to in the videos from the Backrooms, but that story isn't really explicitly told. What's the connection between the Backrooms being created and this earthquake, this all occurring kind of in the 90s again, so you can have that kind of period piece, Stranger Things type feel just by anchoring. Oh, plus there's like a lot of kids going missing, so you have that same kind of like grabber period piece style thing that you can layer on there. Anchor the story to one or two people that no clip into the Backrooms, and then you can kind of gather this exposition and build out why are the Backrooms there? How did we get access to them? What is the purpose of them? Have they always been there? All of these weird kind of questions that come up from multidimensional storylines. I think all of that is built into the Backrooms, and that it's one of those franchise. I mean, it's a potential franchise to me. It feels like if they do this right, and they really kind of like help expose the complex narrative that is behind the story that's being loosely referenced in the YouTube videos, that there's a whole world that you can make movies about.
That's what I'm really curious about. I mean, again, this is something that's very much, with the creepypasta, it's more about creating, like literally in this example, it's creating an image, but, creepypasta is just like what Skinamarink was doing with your eyes, like just trying to force this imagery to be jammed into your head. But what is that leading to? Like, what is going to be that next step after you do, like, shh, hey, what's your name? What happens after that? And I think that's what you're saying, right? Like that's where we're going to start diving into whatever this film is going to be.
Well, it's like so I guess while they are aesthetically similar and really do kind of give you that same vibe, it's almost like there's some of that kind of content that exists out there on YouTube that is more like an augmented reality game that you're supposed to kind of piece things together and figure things out. And the Backroom exists more in that kind of realm where there's so much you can do an MCU on it, because you can just go into every detail, you can explore every detail, everything is intentional, everything connects to something else. And I think you're going to kind of see two lanes of content come out of this general aesthetic that we're feeling in both of like Skinamarink and stuff that you can see on YouTube for the Backrooms, but that those two lanes are going to be the ARG type storylines that have a lot of depth embedded into the story that has not been explicitly told. And then you're going to have the Skinamarink type things that it's almost like the aesthetic comes first and the story kind of evolves from or fills in from that aesthetic, as opposed to like always having a narrative anchor in mind that you can expand on. And the more that we go to long form content getting created based off these types of things, the more we're going to become familiar with both of those flavors.
Mario, you kind of touched on it a little bit when your spot of just like it's impossible to make a Minecraft movie. They need to make 100 Minecraft movies. I feel like this is a little bit of what we're leaning towards, right? Because the Backrooms did inspire a lot of like fan-made games, and there was a short horror film that was already uploaded like last year. People started filling in those gaps of what it was creating, and then they started creating content of that. Like as a filmmaker, was that like you get inspired? That's kind of what you were doing before, right? You were watching stuff on VHS. This is awesome. I want to make it. Now it's 2023. People are like, this is awesome. I'm going to make it.
Yeah. And I think movie studios are trying to figure out what to do with these things that are popular. You know what I mean? They know that if they buy a comic book and turn it into a movie, that works. But how do you buy an internet meme and turn that into a movie? And it's just like you were saying, you need to embrace the YouTube, TikTok community to help you get your stuff over.
Yeah.
But I think Skinamarink probably is like, from what I'm gathering and reading about it, and it's like the first kind of successful stab at a creepypasta movie. And it seems to work.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's fair.
Do you book the Skinamarink guys to do Backrooms? Did they already, do they have directors?
Yeah, they got the guy the original Backrooms guy, the kid, is going to direct it himself.
Kane Pixels.
Yeah, so they already got it. So at least they're getting it right from the source. So it's going to be, it's going to live and die by that. But I think it's going to do really well. I do think there's got to be a way to entice the people that this is something that you can only get in theaters. Even if it's this is something that you can get in theaters. Support this independent artist that you loved on YouTube. And if that's what gets them to go to the theater just to do that, then so be it. But they got to do something that says, come watch this in theaters. Because I feel like Skinamarink was that same thing that happened with Paranormal Activity and Blair Witch before it had this momentum going of this whisper campaign, and then it just all struck right at once, where this is something that's already established and successful right on the internet, on YouTube. This is already successful. Now they're trying to jump it to a bigger medium. Well, not same medium, bigger platform.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm interested in it. I'd like to see where it goes. Eventually, in 20 years, all movies will be memes.
Things used to be based on books.
Yeah. It was close. Like Mike Judge had it close. It's not Ass the movie. It's just Meme the movie.
That's a great title. We should probably IP that really quick.
All right, yeah. Just erase. I need to erase this part.
Meme the movie.
I'm gonna go daddy that site right now.
I'd love to see that, an Avengers style team up of all your favorite fucking memes.
Yeah.
The Ermagod Goosebumps girl comes in, the fucking All Right Baby, and they're just like teaming up to fight. You got trolls on the internet.
You got the dog sitting in the fire. It's like, this is fine, guy.
The fucking What's Up dude wearing that hat and that like brown puffy jacket.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Friggin', what's his name? You get Robert Redford with a beard, smiling, nodding.
You could get IKEA Monkey, the monkey in the fur coat coming out of IKEA is one of my favorites. Fucking bring in Antoine Dotson.
Oh, yeah.
You
get the African pallbearers carrying the coffin.
Dancing. Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, now it just feels like it should be a Wreck-It Ralph style thing where all these people just sort of like live in the internet tubes at the same time. And you go into the internet and it's just like a bunch of fucking funeral guys and a bunch of Ermagod Goosebumps ladies. And now you're just in like the meme multiverse.
Oh, yeah.
But they're all exactly the same.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
They can like, maybe the memes are like having an ongoing sort of rivalry with the GIFs.
I feel like the only reason this movie hasn't been made is because the Emoji Movie was so bad.
Oh, that's right, the Emoji Movie. RJ, is that a meme? Don't let your memes be dreams. Let your dreams be memes. Is that a meme?
The Emoji Movie didn't work because there was talking in it.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense.
No,
it should have been just emojis.
Emojis don't talk.
I mean, it was also just terrible.
Yeah.
Not only were they talking, but they were saying stupid ass shit.
It's just a shoddy premise from the get go.
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf would lead the memes. He's the leader of the memes.
Don't let your memes be dreams. Let your dreams be memes. Do it.
Gives the fucking Independence Day style speech.
That's right.
But it's just do it over and over again.
Get people all fired up. Remember, and I've heard about this. I didn't experience it because that Alamo got tore down before I moved here. But Mario, you may remember. Is it true that sometimes Alamo would just have a screening of like old defensive driver videos, and they were just kind of clipped together to make one big movie?
Yeah, they would. Well, they would do. Because they have that American genre film archive, so they would just like buy random things, like just bins of industrial films or whatever that was just up for auction, and they would just string them together and run them out.
Like, who owns memes? Like, why couldn't we literally just string all the memes together like into a narrative film and show it at Alamo?
It's not a bad idea. Meme the movie,
and you just literally sew them all together. Because most of the memes that people are making, like, usually nobody makes a meme of themselves, right? Somebody memes you. So then who owns that
or
meme?
Corporations make memes of themselves.
Now they do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, you're right. I guess the gig might be up. But I think would you go see Meme the movie and just go watch a bunch of memes?
I might.
Pretty much that's what we do on our phone anyway. Would you watch it on a big screen and buy some food while you do it?
Maybe. I could be convinced. Get a celebrity cameo.
Or
it's gonna be fucking Chris Pratt, and you know it.
That's what we're gonna do, man. Well, maybe we can even do Cameo the movie. What if we just that's the budget. You just pick a bunch of random people on Cameo.
Get them to read your dialogue?
Get them to read your dialogue, string it all together, and there's your film.
I'm into that. Let's do that.
I mean, I like that even better as a false cameo premise movie where you just like play out a movie over some fake star's cameo. That's pretty fun.
Do you think we could maybe write a 3 Men and a Baby threequel and then get cameos from Steve Guttenberg, Tom Selleck, and Ted Danson and string those together? And then we just hire a kid to do the kid parts. Except she'll be grown now.
Yeah, she's not a little lady anymore.
Yeah, so maybe they'll be granddads.
3 men and a woman.
3 granddads and a
oh yeah
baby.
Yeah, would we have to count, like, if you contacted the right people, would they have to like notify their agent? Like, can we pull this off? Like, where they already signed a deal that you can use that cameo, right? If you use it for a business cameo, not a personal cameo, you pay a little bit more, and we can just get them just to say our lines. Just say the line. And then,
I think a lot of those people also have long form content rates, so that you could, like, for example, get I don't know, some like Stanley from The Office to come and talk on the podcast for $3,000, right? Like, and then you get like 30 minutes of content with them, and basically you just give them a script and you read the script with them on the podcast. That's it. They're done. Easy.
I want, just while we're at it, guys,
Stanley, do a scene with me real quick.
While we're at it, I just want to put Ernie Hudson's cameo over, because if you go to his cameo, you can get him with the Ghostbusters suit or not, and he'll do a whole thing. He's got like a green screen. He's got the Ghostbusters car behind him, and he'll do like shout out to your business or whatever. But he'll go all
telling
out,
you, man,
give you the Ghostbusters.
If you made a movie, though, that was about a fake celebrity on Cameo, it would be this era's The Wrestler, right? You got a washed up fucking star going through all this fucking effort, and you get to see him setting up the green screen, changing in and out of these outfits, doing makeup, doing this, doing that, filming a fucking 5-second happy birthday message, and then doing it all over again for a fucking hour. Like, that shit.
I mean, it's work. Work is work.
That is Joker level.
No, I know, but just having a narrative that exposes, I mean, the spread, you know, the silent moments of sadness, to be doing it all yourself after so many years of doing it with people, which I think is kind of the core of what made The Wrestler so strong.
Yeah. I think The Wrestler based a lot of, everyone talked about, you know, they thought it was like Jake, and they all speculated, but you guys remember the interview with Roddy Piper talking about the silent scream in hotels, like the silent scream when he would just lay on his bed and have, like, he was screaming as loud as he could, but he wasn't screaming at all. Like, he was just like losing it there. That's, again, like, I think that's where you're going from, Mike, those moments of just like where all of a sudden you're like, what the hell am I doing?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it'd be good. So let's we want to take a quick break, and then we'll do a go home spot, because we got to talk about what we pitched in the very beginning. And Mike, I don't know if you heard it, but it could lead to one of the top 5 WrestleMania moments of all time. That's
oh hell yeah,
cliffhanger. Be right back.
Get 2-day rentals on all new releases at Rogers Video.
Hi, Video Sam's got exciting news for you. You can now rent a video overnight and hire these great movies from only 99 cents. But the best news is that by purchasing our special package plan, you can have this VCR absolutely free. Ring now, 892-3311 for details of this amazing offer. You could have a video at home tonight. Remember, 892-3311. Video Sam's libraries are convenient to you.
I'm Eric Bischoff, and welcome to this episode of The Swerve. That's right, we were going to talk about WrestleMania Gimmick, but instead, guess what? It's snack time.
Maybe this bumper maybe is too long.
It's kind of hypnotic in its own way.
Yeah, I mean, I love pandas. What do we have for snack time, Jeff?
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I just realized when we were going to get into that spot, I was really hungry. So today, our friends from Marinela present to you Gansito.
Want a close-up, Kim?
Let me move my drink. There we go. Gansito.
Artificially flavored, filled cherry snack cakes. I thought these were interesting because of the duck. You don't normally see a duck wearing pants.
Yes, we grew up with ducks with no pants. But yeah, he very much looks like Donald Duck. Is this from our friends at Bimbo?
This is Marinela.
Marinela, so yeah. Not Bimbo. But there is a Bimbo logo on there, so I didn't know. JJ, you might have to confirm. I know we were talking about our Bimbos.
I think Bimbo is like a flower company. That's like the ones that spread the cordyceps. Anyway.
I did find out through a fellow YouTuber that Little Caesars makes.
Here, hold them up on that main shot.
Oh, you want the main shot here?
Hold them close to you. Yeah, there you go. See, I had these when I was a kid. I remember these, and I saw these in the store, and remembered liking them. So anyway,
yeah, let's try them, man.
Go for it.
Let's just live box opening. Sorry, Mike. We're just gonna have to explain to you what these taste like.
No worries, guys. The floor is yours.
So I will tell you, though, it looks like a brown... Oh, like do it Stone Cold Steve Austin style. Don't need an intern today. They very much look and feel like a Twinkie had a baby with a ding-dong.
What?
Or, wait, not a ding-dong. A Twinkie had a baby with a ring-ding.
Isn't that like a song from the 50s?
So yeah, check it out. Like
Twinkie had a baby with a ding dong.
Put that on the close-up.
It also sounds like a Dusty Rose promo. Twinkie, I said Twinkie had a child with a ding dong. I came
baby with a ding dong, daddy.
Take the wrapper off, man.
Yeah, let's crack it open. But yeah, it totally reminds it. It has that Drake's, little bit of Drake's, little bit of. Oh, it's got sprinkles.
It does. It's dark sprinkles.
Dark sprinkles. In there. All right, ready to crack in?
Yeah, do it.
All right, cheers. Cheers.
I'm into it.
Mike, have you ever had devil dogs?
Yes.
So it's devil dogs inside, ding dongs on the outside, a little bit of jelly from like a Little Debbie's cake mixed with the cream for the cookie sandwich from Little Debbie's cake. They just basically took all your favorite snacks and put it into and rolled it up into a brown Twinkie.
Little Debbie and a ding dong.
Oh, Marinela brand is owned by Bimbo.
There you know.
JJ confirmed. But it's not bad. You want a close up to see it's not much jelly. It's a very thin layer of jelly. See if I can break it open here. It's more cream than jelly. But it's good.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you for that, Gansito. One more time. Go get that at your nearest Marinela Bimbo food provider.
They have this, for some reason, they have this one next to the hot sauce, which is weird, but...
Well, you know, what's the hot salt that you put on your fruit?
Tahini?
Tahini. Maybe they're going for that tahini effect. Yep. All right, let's get off the swerve. Let's get to it. That was my hot take in the very beginning. We got iced out, so I'm going to start from the beginning. That I tell you that Royal Rumble match between when Sami Zayn turned on the Bloodline was incredible. It's up there with the DDP turn. Not as big as the Hogan turn, but that same vibe. That crowd like lost their mind. And that storytelling was some of the best storytelling ever. And I do mean ever in professional wrestling. And I got to give props for the legend, my friend, because I did find out he was the producer, Michael Hayes. He did it again because the last time I felt like this is when he had Jey Uso against Roman Reigns in a cage, and I felt this emotion. And then to go through all of that, and we were concerned, and everybody was concerned, like, how is Cody going to survive this? Because he could get Batista'd by Sami Zayn's Bryan Danielson. And then Cody Rhodes comes out on Raw and cuts an incredible promo with Paul Heyman to the point where they were both shoot crying. And now it's like, this has potential to be one of the best WrestleMania main events in a long, long time. And hands down, easily Roman Reigns' best main event ever. I said it. I got it out of my system. Best ever. That wasn't a mic drop. I just put the brown Twinkie.
We're just letting it breathe a little bit. Yeah, man. Just letting it breathe.
I just took the brown Twinkie and put the rest of the brown Twinkie in my mouth. But I don't know. I'm going to say it. Were you guys, during that Cody Rhodes, Paul Heyman promo, after coming off such a strong Royal Rumble, but Cody didn't have that strong moment in the Royal Rumble because they kind of ruined it by letting people know he was coming back. If he would have came back as a surprise, people speculated, and then he did, and then he won it, it would have elevated it. But Cody Rhodes is so good right now. He found a way that said, that's fine. Just give me the mic with Paul Heyman next week, and I'm going to make adults cry. And that's what he did. I cried. How do you get Paul Heyman a break?
What did he say that made him cry?
Sorry, just thinking about it.
Cody told Paul about when Dusty was down and out. Paul was the promoter that reached out to him and pulled him back into wrestling by offering to book him in a match at ECW. And after that match that was booked by Paul, Dusty found his confidence again. And so he was thanking Paul for helping his father find his confidence again.
He basically shout out, like, he even used the defunct bank, and you knew that's how he dated it. He's just like $100 in a Wachovia account for my whole family to share. We had no money. Dusty was doing car commercials not to make money, but just so they wouldn't repossess the car. They were broke. And you were the only one that reached out and said, Dusty, please come on the show, and I promise we'll take care of you. And Paul Heyman started like holding back tears because he didn't realize that. Because look, as good as Paul Heyman is now, he's always been a fan from day one. And it works for him just like it works for Jim Cornette because it's real to them. It's real to Cody. He started crying because he realized that he helped a legend that he probably grew up idolizing, and he's the one that turned him around. So to have these two men just basically shooting truths like that to the point where you're crying and then all of a sudden still turn it into a money angle, it was perfection.
I mean, I think you take that and you build into that because of all of the energy that the Sami Zayn angle has brought into the WWE through storyline, all of these fans are more and more hungry for great storyline. And so I think the fans are ready for a story with emotional depth that plays into legacy and history and can be looked at as, as much as I love the Sami Zayn and, Roman Reigns and the Bloodline angle, I still hold pretty firmly that I think that's a Jey Uso storyline more than anything else, that the story that Jey and Roman started telling in that steel cage came through. Sami is a tool of that story, and that story is really continuing, and that Jey Uso is the one that should probably emerge and is capable, can give us that emotion, can act the same level that Sami has been in the ring. But I don't think that you can really frame either Jey versus Roman or Sami versus Roman as the entire history of this industry has been leading to this match on this night, and the stakes are more about the pride of like individual wrestling families, right? This is a Game of Thrones story compared to a single episode of CIS.
Yeah.
CSI.
Yes.
Not CIS.
You are 100% right. That's the best way to put it, because, this accidentally went back in time, and they interweaved it in so perfectly. And even like Cody's song, right? In wrestling, wrestling has more than one royal family. And now he's literally about to have to go to war with one of wrestling's other royals families. And he put that over and he explained the story. And it made so much sense when you hear, I always heard veterans say, don't ever down your opponent in a way to make it seem like if you beat them, you didn't really beat anybody. You need to put them over, so when you go over, it means something. And Cody basically put Roman over to the moon. Not like you were over pushed and now it's time. Now that, I'm coming to get you and I deserve. No, he's like, you deserve everything you have right now. You deserve everything. You are the top of this. You just happen to be in my way of what I set out to do, what my father set out to do in the 70s. I need to finish the story. This is magical storytelling. And now I got to the point where I was like, wow, Sami had so much momentum. If Sami was to face Cody, they would start booing Cody, even though that story is as strong as it is. Cody needed to remind everybody what the story was. And now I'm not 100% sure that Sami Zayn would have 100% of the crowd if those two were to face off. And Mike, you called it. I think our next promo needs to be a face-to-face with Sami and Cody before the Elimination Chamber, right? Because Sami and Roman having this main event match in Montreal in Sami's hometown, obviously it's going to be bonkers business and he's going to get way over. but it happens to be that he's in their hometown. I think they need to have a neutral ground territory before that match to really seal what this is. Because where do you go with this? Like, you can't really can't have a main event with Cody versus Sami yet, can you? It has to be Roman.
I think that's the piece I think that stands out the most to me, is that there is an opportunity here for Cody based on how the history was framed in that promo, to basically extend. So I think there's a couple pieces to this. One of them is that in that face-to-face where Sami and Cody get together, Cody needs to establish that you just lost a family, but you found a new one, or you reconnected with an estranged family. You've always been an honorary Rhodes since my father trained you in the performance center. And being able to kind of like take this honorary Oos thing, transition it to an honorary Rhodes thing so that we have an alignment between Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes. Then you go to Montreal, Roman Reigns destroys Sami Zayn. Like, it's a great match, but then at the end, it's just like it was at the end of the Royal Rumble. And the whole family is, beaten into him. And nuclear heat on Roman. Cody comes out and makes the save, gets everybody out of the ring. And in the Raw, or I guess the SmackDown, maybe the Raw, I don't know where they're going to tell this story after, like Roman's on SmackDown, whatever. But on whatever the next episode is where they tell this story, then you can kind of start to expand that frame a little bit, and Sami can come out and say, hey, like, I'm not the only honorary Rhodes here. Like, Kevin Owens was trained by Dusty Rhodes, and this person was trained by Dusty Rhodes, and this person, and you fill the ring up with all of these megastars that are in the WWE today, and that are all face, obviously.
Yeah.
And they are all like framed as honorary Rhodes. And then the final person that Sami calls out as the honorary Rhodes family member is Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns comes out, and you kind of take it from there. But you make it basically this story of like Roman fighting for his particular slice of pie, whoever he wants to let onto his island, whereas Cody is fighting to make all of wrestling the island of relevance, so that everyone that is involved in the business in the WWE is relevant to the wider world, and therefore he can be a champion that goes to put over baby faces and then eventually put over some sort of mega heel down the line. But I think within that narrative structure, you could have some sort of like payoff moment, whether it's down the line or, next WrestleMania, if they want to extend the story that long, where then you bring Cody and Sami together, because I think as good as Sami has been as a babyface, he's even a much more fun heel.
Oh, he's a great
and in
heel.
particular, if you kind of pair him with KO's dominant heel stylings, that becomes a really fun story to tell, with Cody staying the same, Sami continuing to evolve along the way as he gets more and more accepted as like a main event star.
Yeah, because this was his anointing, right? I mean, he was already a main event, and he should have had the AEW title, but this was his proving that I'm a main event at WWE level, which everyone does escalate above all else, right? You can be stars everywhere, but if you can be a star there, that is saying something, because then you are the mega star that it is. I wasn't sure if that's why I'm not going to say they rushed it, but they really were quickened to get Roman versus Sami really quick at the Elimination Chamber right before, close to WrestleMania. And I wonder if they did that because they didn't want to have that conflict, which they had, and they turned into big business. They turned into big business with Yeselmania and Bryan, right? It's like, you're not going to get it. And they stretched that storyline out really well. I wonder if that's why they hurried up just to get Sami versus Roman like right away to keep momentum, but then not have the fans clamoring that we need to see Sami at the main event of WrestleMania. Because the rumor was WrestleMania 2 nights, Roman Reigns was going to defend on both nights. Night 1, he was going to defend against The Rock. Night 2, he was going to defend against Cody. And then when The Rock backed out, said he couldn't do it, then they just turned into, okay, Roman's going to be one night. But it made me wonder, why didn't they? Do they not want to mix that too much by having Roman defend against Sami on night 1 and against Cody on night 2, or does that devalue the Royal Rumble of everything that he went to, that just a grudge can get you there? So I don't know. What do you guys think? Did they rush getting Sami versus Roman right away?
I mean, that was always the eventual, where it was going eventually, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the timing has been pretty good. I don't think they would.
You didn't feel rushed.
It didn't feel rushed to me. Did it feel rushed to you?
No, I don't. The story's been going on for so long, so rushed isn't the right word, but it just like it Royal Rumble and then boom. It's so big. I guess I just automatically, maybe I just assumed it was going to be WrestleMania, but there's so many bigger parts. Like, we haven't even gotten into what you were talking about, Mike, with Jay being so, like, Jay put that story over by crying and saying, I'm out, I can't do this. There's so much more going on, so we don't know what maybe that's just one piece of the puzzle, and that's why they put it out there in Elimination Chamber. So it could just be, I'm overwhelmed, but I haven't felt like this about wrestling in a long time. They're just doing everything so well that my brain's spinning.
I mean, I guess for me, I don't think it's been too fast. I also think that something that Triple H has an opportunity here for is to put over the fact that great stories are told outside of WrestleMania. In Vince's WWE, stories were told basically one night a year. Everything else was just a grab bag jumble of bullshit, right? Like, depending on Vince's whims. And so I do think there's actually a concerted effort to make sure that you're continuing to tell stories episodically across these premium live events, so that in a way you're elevating the entire slate and then getting WrestleMania back to that rarefied air. Because even today, we're in a world now where every wrestling company has their own WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Everything has a WrestleMania now, right? So, like, in that world, how do you make the real granddaddy of them all stand out? Well, you tell a bigger story than anyone is expecting. And the promo the other night, it was the first time in months that I had watched wrestling and I had said, is this story going to be better than the Sami story? Are people going to care about this more than Sami Zayn's like weird, emotional, like gossipy relationship with the Bloodline? Because like when you get down into the narrative guts of the Sami Zayn stuff, it is flying on the quality of these performances and what they have been able, the moments they've been able to extract and like inject into this story, right? I think about this storyline. I think about Sami beaming because he's getting the t-shirt he's made an honorary Uce. I think of Paul Heyman, Sami, and Roman Reigns sitting on the couch eating popcorn, right? Like, I think about the tribal court where Jay comes in and stops the spike from Solo. So like, all of these little narrative moments along the way were only as powerful as they were because of the people doing them. And so to me, it's almost like, sure, let's get through this as fast as possible because we're on a great trajectory here where Sami Zayn goes from being the jackass jobber in WrestleMania to being the most over hot commodity in the wrestling business. I care more about where he takes this story next because he's going to be the same Sami Zayn. He's going to bring that quality of performance to it, and they'll go into it knowing what he's capable of. And they didn't do that with the Roman Reigns story. So just get him out of it. Get him out. I don't want Sami Zayn in the Bloodline story anymore. They've done it. They did a great job with it. So let's move on to Jay. Let's get Jay positioned as the main Bloodline storyline piece. Let's spin Sami off into a new part of the multiverse where he now has some mainline story with AJ Styles or Seth Rollins, right? Like, let's share the love and spread the wealth, because Roman can do the same thing with Jay that he's doing with Sami right now. Sami can do this shit with anybody. And so they can craft whatever kind of narrative they want now that they know what they have on their hands.
Yeah, you're right, man. So many people got the rub from this. Like, so many people. I mean, obviously the Usos and now Jay like you said, it's going to be elevated. I feel like Solo, in a way, got elevated.
Hell yeah.
Kevin Owens getting pulled into this and having, again, the real history he had with Sami. Like, he benefited from this, too. I feel like it elevated this. And, again, you hate to go back to it, man, but it's just, we drive it home and we just say it too austerely, but it just all feels real because everything about it, there's nothing contrived. This isn't some writer that says, let's pretend you're this. As soon as you said, let's pretend, stop. It's not going to work. This is Sami Zayn's real-life best friend. These are Roman Reigns' cousins. This is what would literally happen if Sami Zayn was a neighbor that they didn't like and he came over to a barbecue. It would be the same thing. Yeah. It would be the same exact. And then the stuff with Cody, again, this is all legitimate. Everything when he's in there and everything he's saying is so genuine. And you're right. Maybe that's why they did it. Maybe let's like, wow, we got a lot of magic. We got a lot of moving parts here. We literally have 3 different main events that all could be a part of WrestleMania, or we can make it one big schmaz. Let's start getting the rub on these. Like, let's do something with AJ and somehow factor them in. Like, you're right. There's so much more they can do about it. But here it is. We're fantasy booking now because it's so great. We're not fantasy booking out of desperation because it's so bad. Like, it's just really that good. And then I forgot there was other stories like having Edge come back, and then I forgot how good it was when they had the story where Judgment Day, who was doing some of the best work they've ever done, and they were holding Edge down and they were putting his head down.
I love Prison Dom, dude. Prison Dom is way
Prison
over
Dom, man. He learned so much on the inside. He learned so much on the inside.
Prison changes a man.
Yeah. That's what he learned on the inside. But the stuff with Edge, I forgot how good that was. And that's why Rhea Ripley's getting over, and he only gave up because his wife was about to take a hit, and everybody knows that's his wife. Again, they just leaned into the realism, and yeah, dude, I don't know. For a very rare moment that I don't get many of these anymore, I'm marked out.
I mean, it has the DNA of some of the most beloved wrestling storylines, right? Like it reminds you of that with the nostalgia of it, but it's updated takes on all of that. And there's just something to be said for the fact that this year we're going to go into WrestleMania thinking about how good the main event needs to be. But I'm pretty convinced that next year we'll go into WrestleMania and they'll have 2 nights of matches, and every single one of those matches is going to be steeped in this much narrative depth one way or another, because it's differentiating the product. There is no other company that can do this in the way that WWE does it. They do it on accident when they don't mean to, and that's why we always continue to go back and watch, because you can't book greatness out of somebody. And now they're just letting it flourish. They're giving it the room to run, and I think it's just going to end up like, yeah, I'm really pumped for this year's WrestleMania and where they're going to take these stories. But I really feel like this is the end of phase 1 of something that is going to grow and grow as Triple H becomes more comfortable, learns what works and what doesn't. Cough, cough, the Fiend is not working, and the Pitch Black match is a joke, and LA Knight is literally every single wrestler in the video games, and yet you wouldn't be able to pick him out of a lineup if he was standing next to 5 Kevin Spaceys. So he's taken some hard lessons, and like, we're going to get through those bumps together, but like they're going to happen. And this year WrestleMania is going to have some bumps because it's his first WrestleMania that he's booking. So I wouldn't push all my chips in on that one either. I'd treat it as a test run, keep the main event thing as like this high elevated moment. But then next year you come back and WrestleMania feels like WrestleMania again, where you can't miss a match. Everything's got stakes that's tied to it. And I guess I mean like WrestleMania in the more the like late 90s than the like OG WrestleMania, right? Because you think to WrestleMania 1, it was okay, but the main event was really good, but it was okay.
Right.
When we get into these later WrestleManias, the whole card becomes as good as the main event of WrestleMania 1. And I just think we're on that similar kind of trajectory now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, no more Tito Santana versus the Executioners. It's all going to be elevated. Facts. So last thought, Mike, because I think you you call this, and Mario, you can agree. Like AEW might be the only loser in this new WWE scenario because they were literally, it was like watching a race and they were catching up, and just when they were about to win, boom, hit the NOS button and they just took off. And Mike, I noticed there was a time period, and I don't know if it was a little bit after Punk, you started to wean a little bit, and you're kind of like, oh, I don't know about this AEW, and you're just like, man, if WWE ever just wakes up, they would just like obliterate them and there would be nothing left. And now it feels like, man, they really did just like take off to the point where AEW, don't get me wrong, I still enjoy it. I'm not saying it's not, but it made it feel regional. It made it feel like I thought AEW was going to win for a split second. They won the Wednesday Night War. I thought they were going to win. And now they just feel like, what's the difference between AEW and NWA Power and Ring of Honor compared to what we're witnessing in WWE right now?
I mean, I guess I would say the one bigger loser than AEW is definitely CM Punk, who's being buried continuously by anybody that dare utter his Voldemort-ass name in this industry now.
Yes.
It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's out in the open. Now you can just say how much, everybody can say how much they disliked him.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a story.
Seth Rollins.
That was
Seth
a Royal
Rollins,
Rumble.
even in an interview before the Rumble, was like, yeah, don't come here. Don't come here, Punk. Nobody likes you. You're a piece of shit. I hate that guy. You should never come work here.
And then he's like, "Oh, didn't we already know this?" Like, I was like,
Yeah.
Doesn't he have a match? Shouldn't he be cutting a Rumble promo? He cut a promo on Punk, and everybody was
telling
okay
you, man,
with it.
If CM Punk can't ever get in the good graces enough to return to wrestling, and he does so with like an Oppenheimer gimmick where he is like, I am CM Punk, I am the eater of wrestling promotions, I put them all out of business. And that's his whole thing, is like, I'm here to put the WWE out of business. That's a fucking gimmick that could sell.
You called it, man. You felt the shift coming, and here we are. I didn't think it would do it, but
well, it wasn't even about feeling the shift. It was that WWE was strategically bloating their roster, giving them way too many toys to play with. And Tony Khan has just fumbled and fumbled and fumbled the ball every single time it feels like a company that's being run by Chris Jericho. Like, it feels like Chris Jericho booking up and down the card right now. And I'm sure Fozzy has some actual fans, but I don't think anyone out there is asking for like a 2-hour Chris Jericho show. And it kind of feels that way right now. Well, yeah, the cruise is different.
Yeah.
Like, you're on a cruise, you're getting young stars. It's like, okay, so here's a scenario. The Young Bucks contracts end at the end of this year. Then you'd have Kenny Omega as the sole remaining founder of AEW. And I don't know when his contract expires, but let's say that in 2 years, 3 years, again, I don't know the contract stuff, but there's no Kenny Omega, there's no Dustin, there's no Young Bucks. There is just Tony Khan, and it is now his AEW. And you still have, MJF resigns. They keep MJF. Daniel Bryanson is still doing his like retirement wrestling thing. And you have a couple other of these guys that come up the card a little bit. But I can't think of one person on their roster that could compel this product. Like, they need so much help right now, man. Like, they could potentially have none of the founders, and it would be Dixie Carter's TNA all over again. I mean, they already got Jeff Jarrett, so they are like on that path, man. Like, bringing Jeff Jarrett on,
and he's on a lot. TNA road. He's on a lot.
He fucking works, dude.
Like, that to me is just such a sign of a downslide. But I mean, they still put on an entertaining show on Wednesdays if you tune in. But they're long term.
Once you've seen one match, you've seen them all, though. Yeah. That's the thing about AEW. Once you've seen one, you've seen them all. I've seen people jumping around, flying around, throwing their bodies around. And sure, there's some interesting nuances to the ring performances of these performers, but they just dropped so much of what differentiated the product. And to me, it's really about that, right? Like WWE is differentiating on storyline. AEW tried to differentiate on in-ring performance, but the in-ring performance that they angle towards is just muddy and gray. They all use the same moves. They all do the same kind of high pace in-ring action. And so from match to match, you could pretty much tune in and like one match there's going to be a ladder, a bunch of people are going to be flying through the air. One match there's going to be like 700 super kicks. There's going to be like 1,200 super kicks throughout the entire night, but 700 of them are going to be in one match. Then you're going to have one match where somebody's super bloody, wearing a white t-shirt so the blood really shows on the t-shirt. And then you'll have a championship match, and those moments may occur overlapping and things like that. But that's every AEW show. There's no unique characters that are differentiating themselves based on in-ring performance. Like, I think I know Pete Dunne's in-ring style more than I know most of the roster of AEW, even though that's their differentiator.
Yeah, and he's one of their lower, not at the top yet, but you're right. We'll end it on that because we got to go see the lawnmower. But guess what? That's just so Tony Khan was just telling you it's too wizardy. You're not Uzi enough.
That's not Uzi, man.
That's not Uzi. It's too wizardy. Well, cool, Mike. Thanks for coming on, man. We're actually got a screening of the Lawnmower Man. We're going to go check out at Alamo tonight.
Oh, hell yeah.
We'll talk about it next week. I don't think I saw it in theaters. I think this was a VHS only for me. So
I've never actually seen it all the way through. So
yeah, so looking forward to it. So thank you, everybody.
I bet the audio is going to be dope as hell in the theater. Can't wait to hear that review. Everybody, tune in next week.
Yes, it's going to be good. We got, when we have a very special guest coming in next week, we have rainbowFRIGHT. We're going to be bringing in our fellow YouTuber. He's going to be coming in there. We're going to be talking about love and horror because we know they basically go hand in hand. So, all right. I don't know any quotes from the Lawnmower Man to end this on, but thank you guys. Thank you in the chat. We had some special guests in the chat too, so appreciate keeping that active today. So, yeah, let's just end it on too wizardy.
What's up, Chuckles?
What's up?
We saw you there.
All right, word out. We'll see you next week.